Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. To understand why the 1970 Washington quarter holds such significance, we need to first explore the legacy of the Washington quarter itself. The quarter, as we know it today, was first introduced in 1932. The coin was designed to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, on the 200th anniversary of his birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the image of Washington's profile on the obverse, front, side of the coin quickly became one of the most recognized and respected representations of any president in U.S. currency. The reverse, back, of the coin features an eagle with its wings spread, symbolizing strength and freedom, a fitting tribute to the nation's first president. This design has remained largely unchanged, though there have been variations and updates over the years, including commemorative designs and changes in the type of metal used in production. However, for the 1970 Washington quarter, we would see a slightly different context. The 1970 quarter was part of a period in U.S. history where the U.S. Mint was undergoing changes in the coinage system, most notably in terms of materials used for coin production. But before we dive into those specifics, let's first take a closer look at the circumstances surrounding the minting of this coin. Minting details and production of the 1970 Washington quarter. The 1970 Washington quarter was minted during an era of transition for the U.S. Mint. The United States was still dealing with the economic effects of World War II and the changes in the global financial system that came with it. The Coinage Act of 1965 had already been passed, which marked the end of the use of silver in most U.S. coins. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were composed of 90% silver, but due to the rising cost of silver and shortages caused by the economic strain of the war, the government decided to strike quarters and dimes from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead. This was a major shift that affected the minting process of all U.S. coins. As a result, by the time the 1970 Washington quarter was produced, it was made from a clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with an inner core of pure copper. This shift in metal composition had a significant impact on the coin's overall durability and appearance. Unlike its silver predecessors, the 1970 Washington quarter had a slightly more muted shine and was less prone to tarnishing, making it more practical for circulation, but also less valuable in terms of the intrinsic worth of the metals used. The minting process itself for the 1970 Washington quarter was no different from other years, with the coins being produced at the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of these coins, with the Denver and San Francisco mints providing a smaller number, most notably proof coins. Now, the story of the 1970 Washington quarter starts to take an interesting turn when we look at the condition of the coin and the presence of certain rare characteristics that can greatly influence its value. While most quarters produced in 1970 were used in everyday transactions and circulated widely, a small number of them were minted with certain rare characteristics, features that today make them highly collectible and valuable. The collector appeal of the 1970 Washington quarter. At first glance, most 1970 Washington quarters appear to be standard, unremarkable pieces of currency. But coin collectors know that even the smallest variations can make a coin far more valuable. Let's take a closer look at what makes the 1970 quarter so appealing to collectors. Mint marks and rarity. Like all U.S. coins, the 1970 Washington quarter features a mint mark that tells collectors where the coin was struck. The Philadelphia Mint used no mint mark, the Denver Mint used a DE mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint used an S mint mark. While most collectors focus on the mint mark as part of their collection, it's the special proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint that really pique the interest of serious collectors. These coins were not intended for circulation but were produced for collectors in pristine, mirror-like conditions. Proof coins are specially struck using a different process, which results in a higher quality finish and greater detail. Because of their limited production, proof coins are far rarer and more valuable than standard circulation coins. Errors and variations. Another important factor contributing to the collector appeal of the 1970 Washington quarter is the presence of minting errors. Minting errors are inevitable in any mass production process, and coins that are struck incorrectly or have unique characteristics often become highly sought after. For the 1970 Washington quarter, there were a few error types that made certain coins incredibly valuable. For example, some coins were struck with double dies or off-center strikes, where the images on the coin appear doubled or misaligned. These errors are rare, and finding one can be like striking gold in the coin collecting world. In addition to errors, another rare feature that collectors seek is the die variety. Coins that were struck with a worn or damaged die can have slight but noticeable variations in the design, often making them appear unique compared to others of the same year. These variations are not only interesting from a historical perspective but also make the coin more desirable to collectors. The dramatic value of the 1970 Washington quarter. So, how did the 1970 Washington quarter end up being worth up to $136,000? As we've seen, it's all about rarity and condition. Most 1970 quarters are worth only face value or slightly above, but rare error coins or proof coins in exceptional condition can fetch substantial sums. For example, a 1970s proof quarter with a deep cameo finish can be worth thousands of dollars, as collectors place a premium on the coin's appearance and limited mintage. Additionally, coins that feature error marks or unique characteristics can attract even higher bids at auction. A coin with a double die or off-center strike, for example, might be worth tens of thousands of dollars to the right buyer. The $136,000 price tag typically comes from a coin with a rare minting error or one that is in perfect, pristine condition, graded by organizations like PCGS or NGC. These coins are certified to be in excellent condition and are often sold through specialized coin dealers or at auctions. In the world of numismatics, coins like these are not just pieces of currency, they are prized collectibles, with some coins selling for amounts that are far greater than their initial mint price. Conclusion: the story of the 1970 Washington quarter is a fascinating tale of a coin that, while originally minted as a standard part of U.S. currency, has evolved into a valuable and highly sought-after item for collectors. Its journey from a humble 5-cent piece to a coin worth $136,000 is a testament to the impact that rarity, history, and condition can have on the value of a coin. Whether you're a casual collector or a seasoned numismatist, the 1970 Washington quarter serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary-seeming objects can hold incredible worth and significance. As we close the chapter on the 1970 Washington quarter, it's clear that its allure is far from fleeting. For those lucky enough to find one of these rare treasures, it can mean more than just a small financial windfall. It can be the beginning of an exciting journey into the world of coin collecting, where history, artistry, and value come together in the palm of your hand. Top 2. We're talking about the 1972 Washington quarter, a coin that may seem simple at first glance but holds an incredible value and significance for those who understand its rich history. The 1972 Washington quarter is part of the long-standing legacy of the Washington quarter series, which has been in production since 1932. Over the years, the quarter has undergone various changes, yet the one constant has been its iconic design, showcasing the profile of the first President of the United States, George Washington. This design, created by John Flanagan, has become one of the most recognized and beloved images in U.S. coinage. But the 1972 issue of the quarter holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and historians alike. So, what makes the 1972 Washington quarter such a sought-after and valuable coin? Let's uncover the story behind this coin's remarkable appeal. The historical context. The early 1970 STO fully appreciate the significance of the 1972 Washington quarter. We must first step back in time and understand the broader historical context in which this coin was minted. The 1970s was a decade of change and transition for the United States. The country had been grappling with the effects of the Vietnam War, and there was a sense of political and social upheaval. But amidst the challenges of the era, the U.S. Mint continued its work of producing currency for everyday use, including the Washington quarter, which remained a staple of U.S. coinage. In the early 1970s, the United States was still in the aftermath of the Coinage Act of 1965, which had ended the use of silver in most circulating coins. The 1965 Act replaced the silver content in dimes and quarters with a copper-nickel composition. This was done in response to the rising cost of silver and the shortages caused by the demands of the Vietnam War. The 1972 Washington quarter was minted from the same copper-nickel clad composition that had been introduced in 1965, making it a part of the new generation of coins designed for the modern economy. Though the coin was designed primarily for circulation, it was also intended to reflect the strength and ideals of the nation, with George Washington's portrait serving as a timeless reminder of the nation's founding principles. But as we will soon see, the 1972 Washington quarter is much more than just a piece of currency. It is a collectible, a historical artifact, and in some cases, a priceless treasure. The design of the 1972 Washington quarter. At the heart of the 1972 Washington quarter is the design, a key element in the coin's lasting appeal. The obverse, or front, of the coin features a profile of George Washington, facing left, as was customary in many depictions of the first President of the United States. This iconic image was created by John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. Despite some minor modifications over the years, Flanagan's design remains the cornerstone of the Washington quarter, including the 1972 issue. The inscription, Liberty, curves along the top of the coin, while In God We Trust is inscribed to the left of Washington's portrait. The year of mintage, 1972, is clearly stamped along the bottom, serving as a reference to the specific issue. The reverse of the coin features the eagle, perched atop an olive branch, symbolizing peace and strength. Below the eagle, the words, United States of America, are inscribed along with E pluribus unum, which means, out of many one, and the denomination, $quarter. This reverse design is a fitting tribute to the values of the United States and the symbol of freedom that the eagle represents. While the overall design of the 1972 Washington quarter may appear simple, its elegance and historical significance have contributed to its lasting popularity. The consistent portrayal of George Washington and the eagle on the reverse has made the coin instantly recognizable, and it is one of the most beloved coins in American history. But beyond its aesthetic appeal, the 1972 Washington quarter also holds a certain mystique due to its rarity and the variations that exist among different coins minted during that year. Minting details and variations of the 1972 Washington quarter. To truly understand the 1972 Washington quarter and its place in the world of coin collecting, we must take a closer look at the minting process and the variations that set certain coins apart from the rest. The U.S. Mint produces quarters at several different facilities across the country, with each mint using specific mint marks to identify the coins they produce. For the 1972 Washington quarter, the U.S. Mint struck coins at three primary locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Coins minted at Philadelphia had no mint mark, while those produced at Denver were stamped with a DE mint mark, and coins from San Francisco carried an S mint mark. While all these coins were produced from the same basic composition, copper-nickel clad, what truly sets the 1972 Washington quarter apart from other years is the variety of errors and unique characteristics that appeared during its minting. The most notable error from the 1972 issue is the double die variety, which occurs when a coin is struck multiple times with the same die, causing the images to appear slightly doubled. These double die errors can be found on both the obverse and reverse of the coin, creating a distinctive look that makes them highly valuable to collectors. In addition to double die varieties, there were also coins that were struck off-center or had misaligned dies, leading to unique characteristics that make them even more rare. Collectors eagerly seek out these error coins, as they can significantly increase the value of a seemingly ordinary coin. For example, A 1972 Washington quarter with a noticeable double die error can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction, depending on the severity and visibility of the error. The collector appeal of the 1972 Washington quarter. As you may have already guessed, the 1972 Washington quarter holds significant appeal to coin collectors around the world. The coin is not just an everyday currency, it is a piece of American history, a reflection of the nation's ideals, and a symbol of enduring craftsmanship. But beyond the historical significance, there is a strong collector market for the 1972 Washington quarter, fueled by the desire to own a rare and valuable piece of U.S. currency. As with all collectible coins, the condition of the coin plays a major role in its value. Coins that have been well preserved and are free from wear and tear are considered much more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. The grading of a coin is an essential part of the coin collecting process, with coins being rated on a scale from 1 to 70 based on their condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin is to collectors. A 1972 Washington quarter in mint state, uncirculated condition, can fetch much higher prices than one that has been used in everyday transactions. The impressive value of the 1972 Washington quarter. So, why is the 1972 Washington quarter worth so much today? As we've seen, the coin's historical context, its iconic design, and its rarity, particularly when it comes to era coins and pristine specimens, have all contributed to its value. But the true excitement comes from the discovery of the 1972 Washington quarter in mint condition or with rare errors. The 1972 Washington quarter can range in value from a modest $5 to $10 for a standard, circulated coin with no errors. However, when it comes to rare era coins or high-grade specimens, the value skyrockets. Coins with double die varieties or those in pristine, uncirculated condition can be worth thousands of dollars. In fact, at the high end of the spectrum, a 1972 Washington quarter with a major error or in perfect condition could sell for as much as $130,000 in auction or private sale. It's not just the rarity of the coin that drives its value, it's also the collector demand. Enthusiasts from all over the world actively seek out these rare coins, hoping to add them to their collections or sell them for a profit. As the market for rare coins continues to grow, the 1972 Washington quarter remains a hot commodity for both seasoned collectors and newcomers to the hobby. Conclusion: the 1972 Washington quarter is a coin that, on the surface, might seem like a simple and unremarkable piece of currency. But beneath its unassuming exterior lies a fascinating story of American history, artistry, and the pursuit of rarity. From its striking design to the rare minting errors that make it so desirable, the 1972 Washington quarter has earned its place as a treasured collectible, with some examples fetching impressive prices of up to $130,000. For collectors, the 1972 Washington quarter represents more than just a coin. It is a symbol of the enduring legacy of the United States, a piece of craftsmanship, and a gateway into the world of numismatics. Whether you're just starting your collection or you're a seasoned expert, the 1972 Washington quarter serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most unexpected treasures are the ones that tell the richest stories. Top 3. We're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1973 Washington quarter. A coin that, at first glance, might seem unassuming, but beneath its surface lies a treasure trove of history, artistry, and intrigue. For collectors, enthusiasts, and history buffs, the 1973 Washington quarter is an essential piece of the puzzle that is U.S. coinage. Let's rewind to 1973. America was in the midst of tremendous change. The Vietnam War had recently ended, and the country was transitioning through a turbulent period of political unrest and social reform. The civil rights movement had left a deep and lasting impact, while the Watergate scandal was just around the corner. And while all of this was happening, a quiet revolution was taking place in the world of American coins. 1973 marked another year in the long-running Washington quarter series, but this particular year is remembered for a few key reasons, which we'll explore as we go on. The 1973 Washington quarter is part of the Washington quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932. These quarters are an essential part of American currency, and although they've gone through subtle design changes over the years, one constant has remained: George Washington, the first President of the United States, has been immortalized on the obverse of every single quarter. But let's break down what makes the 1973 Washington quarter such a standout in this long legacy of quarters. At first glance, the 1973 Washington quarter looks just like any other coin from the series. On the obverse of the coin, we find the profile of George Washington, as created by John Flanagan in 1932. Flanagan's design was chosen to honor Washington on the 200th anniversary of his birth, and it has remained in use ever since, with only minor adjustments over the years. Washington's face is turned to the left, exuding dignity and strength. Above him, in bold letters, you'll find the inscription, Liberty, a word that is central to American ideals. To the left of Washington, the phrase, In God We Trust, is displayed, reinforcing the spiritual foundations of the nation. And, of course, at the bottom of the obverse, the year 1973 is clearly visible. These elements come together to create an image that is immediately recognizable and deeply symbolic of American values. On the reverse of the coin, we see the classic American bald eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom, perched on an olive branch. The eagle's wings are outstretched, and beneath it are the words, United States of America, with the phrase, E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many one, which has appeared on U.S. coins since the nation's early years. The denomination, $quarter, is inscribed at the bottom of the reverse, marking this as a quarter worth 25 cents. The 1973 Washington quarter, like all coins, was struck with a specific composition, a copper-nickel-clad alloy. Since 1965, U.S. quarters had transitioned from a silver-based composition to this new metal mix, which was designed to be more durable and cost-effective. The copper-nickel-clad quarter features a core made of pure copper, with an outer layer made up of nickel and copper. This blend of metals allows for a more stable coin that could withstand the wear and tear of daily use. But what sets the 1973 Washington quarter apart from other years in the series? For most coins, it's the details of the minting process that can make a coin special, and this quarter is no different. Coins from 1973 were minted in 3 different facilities across the United States: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Coins minted in Philadelphia, where the coin was produced without a mint mark, were the most common, but those produced in Denver carry a DE mint mark, and coins from San Francisco have the S mint mark. These variations can make a significant difference to collectors, as certain mint marks can increase a coin's value depending on their rarity or production numbers. In terms of rarity and collector appeal, the 1973 Washington quarter is not particularly rare in general circulation. However, there are certain key factors that drive its demand in the market, particularly in relation to coins in excellent condition or with errors that occurred during the minting process. When it comes to collecting coins, condition is key. A 1973 Washington quarter that has been well preserved, with no visible wear, scratches, or blemishes, can be far more valuable than a coin that has been circulated. Coins that are in uncirculated condition, meaning they have never been used in circulation and show no signs of wear, are highly prized by collectors. Coins that fall into the mint state, or proof, categories, produced for collectors rather than circulation, can fetch a significant premium compared to coins used in daily transactions. Beyond the typical versions, some era coins from the 1973 Washington quarter series also garner attention. Double die varieties or misstrikes are among the most sought-after errors. A double die variety occurs when a coin is struck multiple times, causing the image to appear doubled in certain areas. For instance, the 1973 Washington quarter might feature a slight doubling of the lettering, the date, or Washington's portrait, creating an unusual visual effect that collectors find irresistible. These errors are far rarer and far more valuable. In addition to errors, there were also coins from the 1973 Washington quarter series that were struck off-center, meaning the coin was not properly aligned during the minting process, leading to an uneven strike. These types of errors create a unique, one-of-a-kind coin that can be worth a small fortune. The rarer the error, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if it remains in excellent condition. Now, let's address the question everyone's been waiting for. How much is the 1973 Washington quarter worth today? For a regularly circulated coin, the value is generally 25 cents, since it's used in everyday transactions. But the true allure of the 1973 Washington quarter lies in its potential rarity and the condition it is found in. The value of a 1973 Washington quarter can vary dramatically based on its condition, the presence of any minting errors, and whether it has been preserved properly. For example, a typical 1973 Washington quarter in average circulated condition might only fetch a few dollars, nothing too exciting. However, if the coin is in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, its value can rise to as much as $10 to $15 or more. But where the 1973 Washington quarter really shines is in the high-grade, rare coins. If you find a 1973 Washington quarter with a double die error, or one with an off-center strike, that coin could fetch much higher prices at auction. In fact, the value of a high-grade 1973 Washington quarter with a significant minting error can be as much as $127,000 at the highest end of the market. Yes, you read that right. This seemingly simple coin, with the right characteristics, can fetch a staggering amount at auction. Such finds are incredibly rare, and that's exactly what drives the excitement in the world of numismatics. It's important to remember that the value of coins in the collector market isn't always set in stone. Values can fluctuate based on demand, market trends, and the availability of rare coins. So, a coin that may be worth a few $1,000s today could increase in value tomorrow as more collectors become interested in it. This ever-changing nature of the coin market is part of what makes it so exciting, and part of what makes the 1973 Washington quarter so appealing to collectors. In conclusion, the 1973 Washington quarter is more than just a piece of currency. It's a snapshot of a pivotal moment in American history, a work of art that continues to hold deep cultural significance, and a prized collectible for those who understand its true value. Whether you're a novice collector just starting out or a seasoned numismatist searching for your next great find, the 1973 Washington quarter represents the perfect blend of history, design, and potential for discovery. And with the potential to fetch $127,000 for a rare, high-grade specimen with a minting error, the 1973 Washington quarter is a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hidden in plain sight. So, next time you hold a quarter, remember, there's a story behind it. And in the world of coin collecting, that story could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 4. We're going to take a deep dive into one of the most intriguing and valuable editions of this iconic coin, the 1979 Washington quarter. A coin that may seem like just another piece of everyday currency, but when you look a little closer, you'll see that it's so much more. It's a piece of American history, an example of remarkable design, and for collectors, a potential treasure that could be worth $113,000. Let's go back to 1979. The world was changing rapidly. The late 70s were a period of cultural shifts, economic struggles, and political change. The Vietnam War had come to an end, but its effects still reverberated throughout the country. The oil crisis of the 1970s had led to soaring gas prices and widespread inflation. Meanwhile, the world was also witnessing the rise of new technologies, with personal computers just starting to emerge. But amid all this change, the 1979 Washington quarter was quietly being minted, its story just beginning to unfold in the annals of U.S. numismatic history. The Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 5 decades by 1979. First introduced in 1932, it was designed to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The quarter was, and still is, a symbol of American patriotism and unity. But in the late 1970s, a significant change was looming on the horizon. The U.S. Mint had just begun to experiment with different metals, and the coins were becoming less about their intrinsic value and more about their collectability and historical significance. Now, let's focus on the coin itself, the 1979 Washington quarter. Like all coins of the era, it was made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, which meant that the coin had a pure copper core surrounded by layers of copper-nickel. This composition was relatively new, as the U.S. had phased out the use of silver in most coins in the 1960s due to rising silver prices. The 1979 Washington quarter features the same familiar design, which had become synonymous with American currency over the years. On the obverse, we see the stoic and dignified portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States. His image is rendered in incredible detail, captured in profile facing left. Washington's image has been a fixture of American coinage since the inception of the Washington quarter in 1932, designed by John Flanagan. Above his head, the inscription, Liberty, is prominently displayed, representing the values of freedom and independence that Washington fought to uphold. To the left of Washington's portrait, the coin proudly bears the words, "In God We Trust," reinforcing the country's spiritual heritage. And beneath the president's face, you'll find the year 1979 engraved, which is the key to the coin's identity. The reverse of the coin, just as with previous years, features a powerful symbol of American strength, the bald eagle. This majestic bird, perched on an olive branch, is the national emblem of the United States and represents freedom, courage, and resilience. Below the eagle, the words, United States of America, are inscribed, alongside the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many one. This phrase reflects the unity of the diverse states that form the United States. At the bottom of the reverse side, you'll see the denomination of the coin, $quarter, marking this as a 25-cent coin. The design of the 1979 Washington quarter is timeless, and its simplicity and elegance have made it one of the most beloved coins in American history. But while the design has remained largely unchanged over the years, the story of this coin isn't just about its aesthetics. It's about the history that surrounds it, the changes in the U.S. economy and currency during its production, and most importantly, the rare and valuable coins that collectors are still hunting for today. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1979 Washington quarter so special in the world of coin collecting? The answer lies in the coin's minting process, its condition, and most importantly, its rarity in certain versions. In 1979, the U.S. Mint produced the Washington quarter in three main facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. While most coins were minted in Philadelphia and carry no mintmark, coins produced in Denver carry a D mintmark, and coins minted in San Francisco have an S. Mintmarks are crucial for coin collectors because they help identify the specific minting facility that produced the coin, and some mintmarks are rarer than others. For the 1979 Washington quarter, the San Francisco Mint is particularly notable for producing proof coins, which were specially struck for collectors and have a mirror-like finish. But what really drives the 1979 Washington quarter's collector appeal is its condition and the potential for minting errors. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition, with no wear and tear from circulation, can be worth significantly more than coins that were used regularly. In particular, uncirculated coins, which have never been used in circulation, are highly sought after and can command much higher prices at auction. Another aspect of the 1979 Washington quarter that makes it valuable is the possibility of mint errors. Double die varieties are one of the most exciting types of errors that can occur during the minting process. These errors happen when a coin is struck multiple times, leading to a doubling of certain features, such as the date, the lettering, or Washington's profile. These double die varieties can be subtle but highly desirable for collectors looking for something unique. A 1979 Washington quarter with a clear double die error can skyrocket in value, depending on the severity and location of the doubling. In addition to double die varieties, other types of minting errors, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets, can make the coin even rarer and more valuable. A quarter with one of these errors, especially in high-grade condition, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even more. The rarity and the appeal of these error coins make the 1979 Washington quarter one of the most coveted among serious numismatists. Now, let's get to the exciting part: the value. So, how much is the 1979 Washington quarter worth? For most circulated coins, you're looking at a value of about 25 cents, the face value of the coin. However, for those coins that are uncirculated or have minting errors, the value increases dramatically. A standard 1979 Washington quarter in uncirculated condition might be worth around $5 to $10 or more. But when you start talking about proof coins or coins with significant mint errors, the value skyrockets. For example, a proof coin minted in San Francisco in 1979 could be worth several $100s, depending on its condition and packaging. But the true treasure is hidden in the rare error coins, which can fetch far higher prices. A high-grade 1979 Washington quarter with a double die error, in particular, can be worth as much as $113,000. Yes, you read that correctly. A coin that originally was worth just 25 cents, now valued at over $100,000. The high value of these rare error coins is a testament to the fascination collectors have with coins that deviate from the norm. A double die error or minting anomaly on a coin that is already beloved by so many can turn an ordinary quarter into a small fortune. In conclusion, the 1979 Washington quarter is far more than just a coin. It is a piece of history, a symbol of American freedom and heritage, and for collectors, it is a potential treasure waiting to be discovered. Whether you're looking at it as a piece of art, a symbol of national pride, or as a rare collectible, the 1979 Washington quarter holds incredible value, especially when you factor in its condition, mint mark, and the potential for mint errors. And while most quarters you come across in your pocket will likely be worth no more than their face value, if you're lucky enough to find a high-grade 1979 Washington quarter with a minting error, you could be holding onto a coin worth up to an incredible $113,000. Keep an eye out, because the next treasure could be just around the corner. Top 5. We're diving deep into a coin that holds a special place in American history, the 1996 Washington quarter. What makes this coin so unique, and why is it so highly sought after by collectors? If you've ever wondered about the fascinating journey of American currency, how coins are made, and what makes a particular year and minting stand out, you're in for a treat. From its historical context to its design, minting details, collector appeal, and finally its impressive value that could leave you astounded, this is a story that every coin enthusiast will appreciate. Stick with us, and by the end, you'll understand why the 1996 Washington quarter can be worth a jaw-dropping $103,000. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, but by 1996, it had evolved into one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. What we now see on the 1996 Washington quarter is a reflection of its long-standing design and the nation it represents, steady, enduring, and deeply connected to the history and ideals of the United States. But before we get to its impressive value, let's travel back in time to 1996 and take a closer look at how this coin came to be. In 1996, the United States was at a fascinating crossroads. The 1990s were a time of prosperity and technological advances, with the rise of the Internet, the launch of Windows 95, and the cultural dominance of grunge music. In fact, 1996 was a particularly exciting year for Americans. Bill Clinton was in the White House, and the country was riding the wave of economic success. But even with all of this change, the coins in people's pockets remained a familiar part of daily life, quietly bearing witness to a nation in transformation. The Washington quarter had already been around for more than 6 decades by 1996, and the design, featuring George Washington on the obverse and a bald eagle on the reverse, had become deeply ingrained in the collective American consciousness. But that doesn't mean that this coin wasn't also evolving. Just as the nation had changed over the years, so too had its currency. By the 1990s, the Washington quarter had undergone several modifications, with a focus on modernizing the design while keeping the traditions and symbolism intact. The obverse of the 1996 Washington quarter still features the highly detailed bust of George Washington, the first President of the United States. This design, created by John Flanagan in 1932, remains one of the most iconic in American coinage history. Washington's profile is depicted with remarkable clarity, his face dignified and resolute. Above the portrait is the word, liberty, a timeless symbol of the values of freedom and independence upon which the United States was founded. To the left of Washington's image, we find the phrase, "In God we trust," representing the nation's religious heritage. At the bottom, we see the year 1996, which signifies the year the coin was minted. The reverse of the coin, like previous years, features a majestic bald eagle perched on an olive branch, surrounded by the inscription, United States of America, and the phrase, E pluribus unum, out of many one, which signifies the unity of the 50 states in a single nation. The denomination, $quarter, is boldly stated beneath the eagle. It's this reverse design, along with the intricate features of the obverse, that make the Washington quarter a beloved and instantly recognizable piece of American currency. But, of course, there's more to the 1996 Washington quarter than just its appearance. The minting details and production history play a crucial role in determining the coin's value, especially for collectors. So, how exactly was this coin made? In 1996, like most other years since the 1960s, the Washington quarter was made from a copper-nickel clad composition, which consists of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. This was part of the U.S. Mint's decision to move away from using precious metals like silver due to rising costs. The 1996 Washington quarter was struck at the U.S. Mint's facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each minting facility produced millions of these quarters, and it's important to note the role that mintmarks play in coin collecting. While coins from Philadelphia typically carry no mintmark, those struck in Denver are marked with a DE mintmark, and those minted in San Francisco bear an S mintmark. This distinction is crucial when it comes to determining the rarity and value of these coins, as certain mintmarks are less common than others. Speaking of rarity, let's talk about the collector appeal of the 1996 Washington quarter. Coins that are in pristine condition and have special characteristics, whether they're from a particular mint, have been well preserved, or have minting errors, are the ones that catch the attention of collectors. For example, while the average 1996 Washington quarter might only be worth its face value, 25 cents, collectors will pay a premium for coins in uncirculated or mint state condition. These coins have not been subjected to the wear and tear of circulation, and their surfaces are often free from scratches, dings, and discoloration. As a result, uncirculated coins are highly prized in the world of numismatics. But it's the proof coins, minted at the San Francisco Mint, that really stand out. These proof coins were specially struck for collectors and feature a mirror-like finish and exceptional detail. Proof coins are made using a different process than regular circulation coins. They're struck multiple times using polished dies to ensure a flawless appearance. For collectors, owning a 1996 Washington quarter proof is a prized possession, and these coins tend to be worth significantly more than their regular counterparts. Another important factor in determining the value of the 1996 Washington quarter is the possibility of minting errors. Coins that have been struck incorrectly during the minting process can be incredibly valuable, particularly if the error is noticeable and dramatic. Off-center strikes, double strikes, and die cracks are just a few examples of minting errors that can make a coin stand out. For example, a double die error on the 1996 Washington quarter, where certain features of the design appear double due to the die being misaligned, could send the value of a single coin skyrocketing. So, why should you care about all this? Why is the 1996 Washington quarter so special? Well, let's talk about the value. At first glance, it might seem like a simple, everyday coin. But for collectors, especially those with an eye for detail, the 1996 Washington quarter can be worth far more than its face value. Coins in pristine uncirculated condition can be worth anywhere from $5 to $25, depending on the grade. But when you start talking about proof coins, minting errors, and coins in exceptional condition, the value can jump exponentially. The real treasure, however, lies in those rare error coins, the ones that exhibit minting anomalies that make them unique. For example, A 1996 Washington quarter with a double die error can be worth $1,000 or more. But the most exciting potential discovery for collectors is a coin that could be worth over $100,000. That's right, certain high-grade, error-free 1996 Washington quarters are valued at $103,000. How does that happen? Well, when you combine rarity, condition, and unique features, you end up with a coin that's not just a collector's item but a true investment. Some coins go through life unnoticed, only to be rediscovered by the right person at the right time. In the world of numismatics, a coin like the 1996 Washington quarter has the potential to be far more valuable than most people realize. In conclusion, the 1996 Washington quarter is a coin that represents so much more than just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of American history, a reflection of national pride, and for the right collectors, a treasure trove of value. With its timeless design, its place in American culture, and the incredible potential for rare, high-value coins, the 1996 Washington quarter is a true standout in the world of coin collecting. And if you happen to find one of those elusive, error-filled quarters, you could be holding onto a coin worth up to an incredible $103,000. So, keep your eyes peeled. Your next valuable find might just be in your pocket.